Yo, what's going on, guys? Taariq Ally here, the high value footballer, and I've got something very interesting for you today. I'm trying out something new. I've just recently got a new tactics board my coaching, from my club where I coach at, and I've decided to use it to basically analyze or to show you the tactical side of Man United versus Arsenal. Now, this was a game that was filled with small little tactical battles, and it was something that I just saw throughout the game, and I was just highlighting point after point after point. So I decided, you know what, let's try something new, and I'll give my YouTube viewers a complete tactical analysis of the game and how both teams set out and what was the goals for both teams. So without further ado, let's get to the tactics board. Okay, so essentially this is the standard formations for both teams. With United, they lined up in a 4-4-2 diamond. With Arsenal, it was a 3-4-3. So basically the main thing Arsenal did was they just tried to exploit the wide positions with the wing backs. All they would do is put the wing backs up as the wingers get inside over there. Strike up there, push United's players up. So all they would do is just look to exploit the spaces on the wing, and that was basically United's undoing, because United with the 4-4-2 diamond became very central based and they couldn't get out because the main fullbacks were the two outlets, and they were blocked off by the wingbacks. Or if the wingbacks dropped, the two wingers would just drop in and mark them and block them out completely. So here, man would stay on there, and they just mark them out completely. So that's what Arsenal did for basically the whole first half, and it led them to three good chances that probably they should have scored, but they didn't. And the main thing is, when they were in positions like here, for example, Aubameyang would come into this area, Saka would be here, Tierney would actually push up, and it would actually be, with McTominay dropping in there, it would become a 3v2. And all El Neni did was, Gabriel pushed wide, El Neni dropped in, and then Arsenal had their back three again. So this caused Greenwood to also drop back to want to help. Rashford would stay up. Pogba would be in this area, either marking Willian or Bellerin. And Partey just stayed on Fernandes, so completely blocked. It blocked United out completely, and they had no way of playing. Arsenal always had an extra player, because if there was a transition, let's say Greenwood gets the ball over here, Gabriel would just close in, stay touch tight, and that would give Tierney the opportunity to drop back in, and El Neni to stay in that position. But as soon as, let's say, Greenwood passed the ball back to, let's say, Fred, as Greenwood got back into his position, El Neni could just go, Gabriel would go back in, and the Arsenal formation would get back to normal. So essentially United had no way out. The only time the game changed for United was when they changed to a 4-2-3-1. That was in the second half, and basically this gave them more opportunity to exploit the wings, because they've got two players on the wings, rather than with the diamond they had everyone in this area. So now when you've got two players on the wings, these two players can also keep track of the wing backs. So this forced the wing backs to not go venture as much, whereas compared to with the two strikers, the wing backs had free license to just go up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. So it was a pretty even contest. Arsenal dominated the first half completely, Second half was more even, of course, with the Pogba mistake which happened in around this area of the pitch. It was a simple ball out to Bellerin. Two of them were there, foul in the box, penalty, and ultimately the game was decided by an individual error from Pogba. But overall, I would say tactically, Arsenal were far better, and this is coming from a United fan. Arsenal were far better and honestly thoroughly deserved the win. Tactically, they outclassed United in every single aspect. Players like Fernandes, Greenwood, Rashford, Pogba were all kept at bay because Arsenal constantly had extra players in that midfield zone. So if ever, let's just move these over here. If ever Greenwood, let's say Partey and El Neni were here, wingbacks up. If ever Rashford or Greenwood got the ball in these deep areas, if Fernandes dropped, always a centre back would be on them. With Greenwood, it was Gabriel. With Rashford, it was Holding. As you can see, when in that area of the pitch where Holding actually fouled Rashford, got a booking. I think no, not actually a booking for it, but Rashford nutmegged him, tried to get past, and he blocked him off. That's basically what the United strikers were forced to do, was they had to come wide. And now with Fernandes, an isolated figure here, Partey would just pick him up, or El Neni would just pick him up, and then United would have won free. Because McTominay was trying to track the wing back, Pogba was trying to track the wing back. So now, winger on winger, or winger on fullback, Lacazette was here. Arsenal always had a midfielder open, because if Fred dropped into here, Lacazette would have completely free space, because if one of these drops, then Aubameyang goes in. Or if he drops, Willian goes in. So constantly, United players always had to ask themselves, where am I going to go? Am I marking him? Am I marking him? Am I going there? And that constantly led to Arsenal picking up little pockets of space. And that's how they ended up dominating the first half completely and had 3 chances. The one with Willian curving the shot over there. There was one where I think it was Aubameyang who crossed it in, Lacazette missed. There was one where the cross came in here, and I don't know who actually headed it, but it went wide. So they had 3 good chances to score, missed all, and in the end they had to score from 12 yards. But the one thing that Arsenal do well is that when they went 1-0 up, all they did was these two just dropped in, formed a back 5. These two dropped in here, and the wingers just dropped down. And Arsenal just essentially played with a low block, counter-attacking, and there were no spaces for Manchester United to play through. Man United in the first half tried to play these little balls where it's a 1-2, he goes into the space here, that pass gets played there, or in and around these areas. But ultimately, when you have a back 3 against 2 strikers, they're not going to get any space at all, because I mean, it's just 2 on 2, and then there's still a spare man over here. So completely outclassed tactically, and they had absolutely no way through. And that's how Arsenal ended up winning the game. I've spoken a lot about Arsenal's method of attacking, of exploiting the wide spaces over here and over there, but I haven't actually spoken about United's, basically their attack. So basically same formation, 4-4-2 diamond that they used v Leipzig where they won 5-0, and essentially the main thing that the strikers do that they did well against Leipzig was they drop into those areas over there. So they move over here. And what that does is, if they're playing against a back three, for example, forces these players to come wide. Because most of the time, Leipzig, very, very attacking team, they would have their wingbacks pushed up and they wouldn't want to track back. So what that did was it gave Greenwood and Rashford pockets of space in these areas and gave the 10, which was Van der Beek, basically the opportunity to play in that area and play as a false 9. So what happened was McTominay would pick up the wing back. This player would drop in here. So Wan-Bissaka was free to pick up any run that happened over there. He tracked that man, short tracked that man on the wing. Striker was in between the two centre backs as usual, and the wing backs would go up and attack. And then they had two midfielders in there pretty much. I think Leipzig pretty much used the same formation as Arsenal. I'm not 100% sure, but I think so. It was a 3 at the back formation. I think it was actually 3-4-3 now that I think about it, because they used basically the exact same tactics Arsenal used, which was the high press, which is why United dropped into a low block in some stages, essentially just protecting the 6-yard box, stopping any space from getting in behind to stop these runs of Aubameyang and Willian as well as Lacazette. And they did the same thing against Leipzig and it worked. Unfortunately, Arteta was on his, well, unfortunately for United, Arteta was on point tactically, and he figured that United would be gearing up for the same thing, so he switched it around and he got it right. United's main form of attack is these two players love doing this, so they'll drop in behind, drop in behind. All three strikers bar Cavani love playing where they get a ball, for example, into a channel where, let's say, Pogba will play this ball. Pogba will come up here, Rashford will drop there, Greenwood would come central, then make that run in to go for goal, like how he scored against Leipzig. That's what they love doing. They love going into these areas, dropping into the space so that they can get a through ball so they can shoot on goal. That's basically Rashford, Greenwood, Martial. That's their main strength. None of them love to come short and hold the ball up, play with their back to goal, link the play up, kind of like someone like Harry Kane would do, where he'd drop into this area over here, link up play, and then players run off of him into the spaces. With United, that's not the key, and all Arsenal did was when United attacked was dropped. So Rashford and Fernandes were trying to pick out these little balls, as I've said earlier. But when you've got these players sitting so deep, there's no space in behind there, because if he goes there, that ball from Fernandes has to be so accurate, weighted so perfectly that it would split the defense. And what would happen is, even if Rashford gets there, Gabriel would just cover. And then Rashford, and then Partey would drop on Fernandes. The other centre back would come across. El Neni would help out as well. Wingback will drop, or the two wingbacks will drop. And in the end, what happens is United get suffocated, and then ball's either lost or they're going to have to play it all the way back. Like someone like Pogba will drop in here, Fred and McTominay will be over there, the line will push up. So in the end, United will have to go back, Greenwood will come back in here, and then they'll start all over again. But the main thing is, there were no spaces to run in behind, so unfortunately United's attack suffered a lot from that. And that's been United's main problem under Solskjaer, is unlocking teams that sit with a low block. Crystal Palace came to Old Trafford, did the same thing. With Spurs, they were kind of high press. In defense, they would drop very deep. also with a back three. So the main thing you can see here with United's weaknesses is low block, and either with a back three or back four. But the main thing is that block. If people are blocking that 18-yard box, they have absolutely no way through. And that's the main thing that happened last season, happening this season as well. United are their strongest when they're playing on transition, where they have to counter attack, where a team's line is pushed up and they can play quick passes in behind. And if that's not an option, everything is in front of the opposition. It makes it easier to pick up, especially if the opposition just crowds this area. Like if they're playing, for example, a 4-4-2 like Palace, all they would do is just crowd this area over here, and then you have players like Rashford, Fernandes, Pogba, McTominay, all trying to pick little passes and find little pockets of space over here, but in the end it's just too crowded. And that's what Arsenal essentially did to United. Crowded them out, gave them no space to play their passes in behind, and the attack suffered immensely from that. With Cavani coming in, clearly he's not up to speed yet, but once he comes in, he starts playing his game of holding it up, dropping deep, running in behind as well. He'll give them a much needed physical presence that United need to compete with teams that play low blocks. Because if they continue this way, where they have to play all in front of the opposition, Chelsea was another game where they struggled to get in behind. They did have a few chances, but no clear-cut through balls where this player, for example, a Fernandes or a Rashford or Greenwood, is through on goal, ready to finish. And if they don't have that, it's a problem. If you close the spaces like Arsenal did, like Chelsea did, like Crystal Palace did, Brighton to a certain extent, you will always have a chance of beating United. And that's the video. Sorry about the length, it's a bit of a long one. You know, when I talk about tactics, I get so into it that I end up forgetting the time. But I just wanted to give a lot of detailed information, because I have actually given an Instagram post about this, and I'll put the post at the end. I'll just show you the little pictures you can see for yourself, or either that or I'll link it in the description, where you can go to my Instagram page. But I wanted to just put a lot more emphasis on detail in this video, because that's where I can actually speak on it, give visual examples. With the written word, sometimes people can get confused. So that's why the video was just a bit longer than usual. But I hope you enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe, comment. The algorithm loves it, absolutely loves it. If you like a video, comment and subscribe. It'll keep showing up on your timeline. So if you want to see more of my videos and you liked some of my previous videos, make sure you subscribe and like. And I'll see you guys on the next one.